And welcome everybody. Nice to see faces from all over the world here. More people are joining us, so bear with me while I let them in. Good evening in, let's see, I think we've got Belgium, Cambodia, the UK. Jason, you're here with me in California. Jerry, where are you located?
Sorry, couldn't unmute them. Worcester in England.
Wonderful, welcome.
Hi.
Our guest professor is obviously here, and I'll introduce her in a moment. We will have people, we've had a large number of people register for this event, so they may be coming and going as we do this, so you'll see people pop in and pop out. As I always like to say, it is always a good omen when Shad is here because he is living proof that tomorrow is coming. Shad's in Cambodia, so is it tomorrow for you still?
Yes, it's 1:01 in the morning.
Oh my goodness, thank you. So, while I like to say I'm the man who sees tomorrow, here is the man who lives tomorrow. So, welcome. Couple bit of logistics before we start. This is being recorded and it will be available for replay in the Proper Tarot School of Divination Facebook group. You'll be able to watch it there as a replay, kind of like a live stream. And then obviously our professor will have it and I will have it. And if you're not already a member, it's free. It's not, nobody's selling you anything at all. If you are not a member of the Proper Tarot School on Facebook, just do so, because you'll get all of this wonderful stuff as we keep coming up. I would love to test and at least show you, if nobody else has ever done this before, down in the lower right of your screen, you will see a button that says reactions. I just want everybody for the moment to click on greetings, Jennifer. Where are you joining us from?
I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Oh my goodness, we really are universal at this point. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, hola. That's the extent of my Spanish, by the way. 3 years of it in high school. That's the extent of my Spanish. If you click on the reaction button, you will see raise hand. I want you all just to raise your hand for a moment, because this will be the way I can do. Wonderful, Shad. I got you. Great. Jennifer did it. Got it. Perfect. Okay, now lower your hand. That's how you'll let me, thanks, Jason, I see that. So what you're gonna do is that's how you'll let me know you have a question. And the beautiful thing about today is it's not a talking head lecture. We're gonna talk with you, it's a conversation. And so if you have a question, raise your hand. Jason, you can go ahead and lower yours. Just go ahead, raise your hand and I'll call on you. Alternatively, in the chat room, which again, I will be monitoring, just type in your question or let me know what you want to talk about and I will pass it on our professor. With that, restrooms, toilets, water closets are down the hall to the left if you need them. And so you can get to those as you need to if there's a nature break needed. We're going to go for about 30 or 40 minutes this morning as the content and questions may arise. And with that, for those of you who don't know me, there are a few people here that are new. My name is Scott Grossberg. I'm the curator, I guess you would call it, of the Proper Tarot School of Divination. I want to put something out there for those of you who have not heard the term Proper Tarot before. It does not mean it's the correct way of doing tarot or fortune telling. The concept of Proper Tarot, and Mia, you and I have never discussed this, but you will like this, came from Anthony Jacquin. And Anthony and I were having lunch and sitting down, and I was describing what I do. And he originally said in his wonderfully British accent, well, that's just proper witchcraft, isn't it? And I was like, well, wait a minute, what does that mean? And then we went to Proper Tarot, and that's what led to this. Proper, in the way I'm using it, is a very good, lovely English term that means all-encompassing. It means that's what we talk about. It just has no connotation over right and wrong. Jason, your down in reactions, your hand's still raised. So just lower that for me. Otherwise, you get stuck up there, and I think you've got a question. Thank you. Good evening, Julie. I'm glad you joined us. All right. Nice to see you. All right. Does anybody have anything that we need to address before I introduce our wonderful professor today? Okay, with that, our guest professor today is Mia Illuzia. That's the name that she uses here. You'll see on screen, she's got a longer last name, and I'm not Finnish, and I'm not going to pretend to pronounce it, but Mia can do that. But she's known artistically as Mia Illuzia. She has been an artist since 1993. I'm willing to bet she's been an artist longer than that, knowing her, because I've seen her work up close and personal, and it's just astounding. She is the owner at Spirit Carrier. She creates unique artisan jewelry and accessories with natural crystals. She is obviously a rune enthusiast, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And her amazing, I just say this, I've seen Kickstarter programs before. I have never, very rarely have I seen anyone in this field offer a Kickstarter campaign with a goal that the actual people involved have exceeded it by 15 times. I mean, it's just an amazing success story, and she'll be talking about it today. Mia is passionate about the magic of the human mind. I love that she calls herself an explorer of the imagination, and she's always learning something new. I can tell you that just from our exchanges. And with that, please welcome our guest professor, Mia Illuzia. Hey, Mia.
Hello, everyone. So lovely to see you here. I recognize most of you. There may be other people later on listening to the recording who know all about runes, and I know Julie here is an absolute master in the Anglo-Saxon runes that she uses. So it's lovely to meet you all. I am not going to be talking too scientifically or historically about the origins of the runes, more about my process in why these came about, and hopefully what I want to be, what I hope people to get from them. So do ask questions as well. I do know that in the rune community that I'm part of, there is a lot of, often quite sort of status play going on as well. Like, no, this is right historically, this isn't, and this kind of stuff. So I don't want to go into that. I would really, really, with these cards, want people to form their own connection with them and find their own way of working. I'm careful also about the historical connection. So I don't want to take complete artistic liberties with the runes. So it is this balanced line to thread. How do you sort of go about it? The rune cards that are out there, or runes generally, are normally the symbols. So the Elder Futhark that I have used for the cards is the 24. But what is different about the decks that I have produced is that I have wanted to include a few bonus cards, what I call, or concept cards, which people can use just as visual inspiration, maybe to look more into the Norse mythology aspect of runes, or even use them as part of their readings, or especially if you happen to read for others, it might be quite a nice visual touch point to use the concept cards or the bonus cards to just lay out and talk a little bit about the runes in those contexts. You, Scott, asked me to talk a little bit about the Yggdrasil tree. That is the if I stop my video, you can see it there. that is the symbol that I have created like as a logo for the cards. So this is the Yggdrasil tree, the world tree at the center of the universe. It has got 3 roots. There is the ingus in the middle, and then the 2 on the sides. And those,
You know, Mia, I'm going to interrupt you here for 1 second, because I guess I should have asked this question at the beginning. How many of the people with us live today, how many of you have a working knowledge of runes and Norse mythology? So we know Julie, so a little bit. Christine at all? Jennifer, you do. Jason, I don't know if you do or not. So one of the things, Mia, real quickly, I would love it, just as one fellow creative to another, I would love it if you could talk about just a brief background of what runes are and how they relate to divination. And more importantly, the part that fascinates me is, you know, how did you come, we're talking, by the way, folks, about Rune Dreams. It's these Oracle deck tools that Mia has come up with. How I'd love to know the creative process. And did you, I'll just ask this, I'll put you on the spot, did you connect with the Norns? Now, Christine doesn't know what we're talking about, so maybe you can explain. Did you do your own little vision quest to help come up with a creative muse for this?
yes, I do a lot of these kind of, some people might indeed call it shamanic journeying. And I do a lot of dream work. So I set questions and intentions before I go to sleep, and then see first thing in the morning in that hypnagogic state what has come up. So I want to use the dream time fruitfully, so that I don't just sleep, but you know, something comes out of it. So it's one way of making good use of my time. So that is how these cards originally originated. I started to dream a lot about runes. I have been working with them for about 10 years, 12 years. And being a very visual person, I first made them for myself, but when I showed them around to a few friends, it came clear that these kind of visual representations of the symbolism would be quite easy and effortless for people who only come to runes to learn the meanings and connect with them more easily than just the symbols that people tend to carve on pieces of wood, for example. So if I show you, I'll turn my camera to a different one so you could hopefully see. Let's see.
And by the way, everybody watching, you can, if you don't know this already, you can go to your meeting up at the top, and you can put this on speaker view, which will take you off gallery and make what Mia is showing you bigger.
Yeah, so hopefully you can see those cards a little bit. My lightning puts a little shadow from the camera angle. But these are the 3 of the bonus cards in the deck. And they are Freya, Heimdall, and Tyr, who are considered as the guardians of the 3 sections of the Elder Futhark. The first Aet is guarded or owned by Freya, is considered the guardian of the first Aet. The second one is Heimdall, who is one of the gods in Norse mythology, guarding at the bridge of the dead and the living worlds, and there's a rainbow bridge symbolizing that. And Tyr owns the last Aet of the Elder Futhark, and he's got his right arm cut off because he sacrificed that. There are lots and lots of various myths and stories about the Norse mythology that I'm not not going to go that much into. But with these cards, each of the 3 sections has got 8 runes. The first art deals with the sort of life cycle, basic earthly survival through worldly experiences to accumulating knowledge and figuring out the meaning of it all and how to live a fulfilling life. So these runes deal with that. And each of these images relate to the symbolism, obviously, of that rune. I see each rune a whole world in itself. So there are several aspects, even though there is a theme to each, but each one could be a lecture in itself. The second section of the runes, the second art, governed by Heimdall in the bonus card, these are about the external, unavoidable forces that sort of affect and shape one's existence. It's about navigating life's difficult aspects, as well as about the larger mysteries of life and death. Especially here is the yew tree that joins the symbol, is like top and bottom, joining the higher worlds and the lower worlds. And the third art, governed by Tyr, is the sort of deals with the cosmic laws in the wider context of humanity. It deals with universal themes of justice and collaboration and individuals' contribution to sort of the collective future of the world. And interestingly, there are some historical debates which ones of the last 2 here, which one is the ending of the 24 runes. I go with the generally accepted ones, Othala at the end. And interestingly, when you have the first of the 24 runes and the last of the 24 runes, they both deal with prosperity in a way. So the Fehu starting is the kind of mobile funds prosperity and wealth, whereas the final Othala is sort of inheritance, the more solid like property, maybe your owned farm, home type of the legacy.
Mia, I'm going to interrupt you here because I'm one of those very visual people. Don't put those 2 cards back up.
Okay.
And I want to, if you put those 2, the beginning and the ending, your beginning and ending together, notice for me, it creates a whole picture of movement towards the center. It's just a very nice visual flow that you have done here.
Yeah, it's if you have these cards when they get produced, that will be in March 2023, then you can look at each separate card together as well, and you can start putting them together in different ways as you would in a reading, and read them. If you are familiar with tarot, I am not that familiar with tarot, but you can take all of that visual knowledge in order to start looking into it that way.
So this is the beauty, by the way, and why I asked you to be part of this. You've taken what normally is an ancient language pictograph type presentation, and you've now added a very visual element to it. How did you choose the images that you decided on?
The images are done. Let me see if I can put my face there for a little while. I have used, as you are probably familiar, it's becoming quite popular now, the AI that generates images. The way I have used it is more like inspirational tool of creating elements. So I generated thousands and thousands and thousands of elements, over 7,000 by now it's going. And then I sort of picked and chose which ones here and there would, to me, represent each rune the best. And I pieced them together like digital collages in a photo program called Affinity.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So that's those are those. And I wanted to, funnily enough, I can't even recall how the 2 decks came about. Suddenly the black and white deck started to somehow make itself, and I put that one to the Norns. Maybe they wanted to, oh, oops. I'm going to change my camera to here. Norns, the 3 main Norns live at the root of the Yggdrasil tree, the world tree Yggdrasil, and tend to the tree, water it from the wells at the root of the tree. They are considered beings of time. Urd is about what once was. Verdandi is what is coming into being currently, and Skuld is what shall be. However, they are not as closely past, present, and future as you would think in our way of Western thinking. They are more intertwined than that. How something in the past still is affecting the future, how it is dictating what will be coming, in very much the way that you could psychologically think now that if you have had certain experiences in the past that have not been resolved in a balanced way, they will be affecting the future as fears and possibly blockages in that kind of way. So they are intertwined. And I felt that the whole decks and the whole project took a leap forward once I got Urd, Verdandi, and Skuld pictured in the cards. So they are very important to me. The monochrome deck is different. It is slightly more eerie, slightly more ghostly than the color deck. The color deck is very clear cut in its symbolism. In the black and white one, there are almost like these shaman type of characters in each card, whereas the color deck only includes about 7 of the cards have human characters in them. In the black and white one, all cards have. And the symbolism is still there. It is very recognizable. And if you have ordered, for example, both decks, you will see similarities there in all of them. For example, the Ihwas has the tree there in all of them. Obviously, the Algis, that means elk. It has the antlers in both cards. The Sovilo sun, there is the sun shape in both of them. In this black and white card, it is more interpretable. So you can even look at that as being the sun within you, you being the sun, rather than it being outside of you. And there is a horse in both of the Ehwas one, the partnership cards. So there's an
Mia, if somebody who's watching this says, I love these, but I don't know enough, I'm afraid to use these, is there a
Yep.
good place that you recommend for them to start, even maybe getting training with you, how to learn this rather than just reading a book? I mean, some people are very visual or they're auditory, right? And they want to hear what's going on. How do you recommend they learn how to use these cards elegantly?
Well, the cards come with a leaflet, instruction leaflet, which gives prompts on how to think about the cards in relation to your query. So what I like to do often, because I very rarely read for others, I use them as self-inquiry cards. And the way I approach it is through questions. So, for example, if you were to query about your work and you get one or two of these cards, I would start to ask questions. How this particular rune points to what area in what you are querying. Because this, I see them very much like the finger that points to something in your life.
I love that. I actually absolutely love that analogy.
So, so that there is no end to the questions that you can ask about each card in relation to whatever it is an answer to. Like, I can tell you a funny story from a couple of weeks ago. I don't often get angry, but there was something going on with a relative. And I was really ready to launch and speak my mind. And I thought, this is very unlike me, this kind of reactive, what. And I went to my cards and I pulled a card, and it was I can show you. It was Isa card. Oh, is it show? Yeah, there we are. Isa, which is the ice card, which is about pause and stand still. And it almost like it shouted at me, halt, cool it down, put it on ice, don't burn any bridges. And when I had gone to the cards to ask about this, the thought even was in my mind that, oh, how could the runes possibly answer this one? This is a unique situation to me, like how could some ancient thing like this give me an answer? Pause, put it on ice. So I didn't speak my mind, and it was good that I didn't.
Yeah, so a testament not only to the power of runes, but the power of your deck, to visually say, enough already. Go to the ice cave, lady.
Yes. I'd really like people to make these cards their own. Even though I originally made them for myself, but I think there is the universal themes are really present. And if you already know runes, it can be just another additional tool for your wooden runes or your stone runes. It is also often that I use both of my wooden runes and the cards, because you can use one or the other as a clarifier for the other deck, and then you can there is a possibility of pulling the same rune as well. That is an added emphasis if you do get same runes.
Is it, maybe we could talk for a moment about the handling of your cards, and now you've mentioned both wooden and stone runes. I think all of us have seen the resin ones; those are out there as well. Do you do one card and single rune wood, stone, resin draws out of a bag, or do you cast them? What's your favorite handling?
I draw from bag. very it's not often that I cast, although I do cast with your Vitruvian square. So that one is
Thank you.
brilliant for casting. So if anybody here wants to know about Scott's Vitruvian square, that's a great one for casting, and obviously for cards as well. These cards are the standard poker size, so they are really quite handy and nice to.
Which,
and
by the way, I want to compliment you on that as someone who has designed decks and casting cloths. I've got to tell you, the decision that you made to make them this size has so many payoffs for people using them rather than the larger size. Not only are they easier to carry, they're easier to handle. It takes up less footprint when you're using them. So I really applaud you in making those decisions.
Yes, that is what I really want, and I'm quite, as a bookbinding trained. The sort of feel of materials is really important to me. So these are the kind of texture to them that card magicians like in their deck. This sort of I don't know what you call the finish.
It's a satin. It's a satin finish, and
That
they're
would be
just
the one.
It's just a marvelous handle.
Yeah, that would be the one. So yeah, I wanted to add those ones. Personally, I'm not keen on the very sticky surface that the large cards often.
Yeah. Talk for a moment, if you would. I don't want to take you off track, but you also have created a casting cloth.
It is this one here. I don't know how well you can see it under, if I take the cards out. It is this one. It has the Ægishjalmur. It is the Icelandic helm of awe shape. There is also debate because it is not historically as old as the Elder Futhark, so it is a later one, but it is very established these days in the rune community. So many people have it as their tattoo and things like that. It has the algis shapes, the protective shapes. I have added 3 of the smaller ones here, and there are 9 web of weird points, which in Norse mythology there are the 9 worlds around the world tree. So these can be used for 3 card spreads, for example. You can use the top and the bottom half for the unconscious or subconscious and conscious influences, for example, or you could do a 9 card reading or less with the other points. So, and there is the Yggdrasil tree, that is the Rune Dreams logo as well in the corners, that you could possibly use for a 4 card reading, or use the bonus cards. There will be in the deck further bonus cards. I just haven't got the samples yet of those, but they are some of the concepts in Norse mythology, the parts of the person that are considered to make up a person. Hamr, which would be the shape and form, outer appearance and shape shifting. The Hugur, which would be the presence and consciousness, sort of mind, memory. And Hammingja is a really interesting concept, which is about the luck and fortune, but which can be also lent to another, and it can be inherited. So a person's, the sort of luck that follows. And then there is the Fylgja, which is considered like lifelong guardian or follower spirit. often female or animal. So each deck will have those 4 concept cards in there as well. That could make some interesting readings if doing sort of personal charting for various aspects.
You know, when it comes to divination, obviously it's a very personal choice. And I've mentioned to folks here before, I came to tarot very early on. It was Tarot de Marseille. I literally was in first grade, I think, when I was given my first deck, and so became attracted to the imagery. I didn't know how to read French and didn't realize that's even what it was on the cards. And so my go-to divination tool, I think, in tarot symbolism, I think in Deck of Shadows visual elements. Did you very early on, I mean, were you raised with runes and that's why this is your tool of choice, or is this something that later you came to? I mean, I came to runes later, but you know, my background is tarot and oracle cards and things like that. How about you?
Yeah, I think it is because I grew up on the west coast of Finland, which is the Swedish side of it.
Mm.
And I can't even put my finger on it. It was long ago. I just remember as a kid writing with sticks, and the visual of it has always been there. I can't remember other than 12 years ago when I started to read more consciously about it and all of that. But the nature, the connection with nature and the natural forces and all of that, of superbly cold winters in Finland and the beautiful northern lights and all of that. So I associate all of that very strongly with runes and rune work. So it kind of I feel the affinity because of that.
And I think this is important for all the people here today, is to understand in using divination tools, it's not only very personal, it's what powerfully do you go back to instinctively and intuitively that helps with the reading, which then leads me, Mia, to the question. You mentioned you do a lot of personal readings for yourself, introspective, reflective kind of work. When do you choose to use your cards or runes in general versus any other type of oracle tool?
While I have been working with these cards, it's just directed. I have been living and breathing them for the whole of this year mainly. But I use a lot of crystals as well. That is also very strongly in my sphere. I I don't really know. It's just this feeling that being drawn to that or the other. Yeah, difficult.
So do you mind mentioning, or could you explain for those people? Because we've got all kinds of different people here, people who love astrology. I know, Shad, you're into the I Ching, just a variety of different tools. Very rarely have we talked in the proper tarot school of divination about crystals. And can you talk about how they complement your cards and your work?
Yes, the themes are universal, like they would be across tarot and I Ching and all of them. They deal with similar themes. With crystals, I find that each crystal is a world to itself, just like one single rune. So there are lots of aspects. For example, one crystal, its symbolism could be interpreted in quite different ways depending on what the person is asking and what the sort of feel that comes from it. So it's not that clear cut that there's only one thing about
No pun intended. It's not clear cut.
yeah. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, I have created little crystal, a set of 24, funny enough. So I am using them together with runes because there's 24 of each. So Yeah.
Wonderful. Is that, I mean, I don't know if this is a good time to ask if any of you have questions, or are there other key points? Because I don't want to pull you off track too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please ask, yeah.
Anybody have some questions right now? And by the way, this is open. Feel free to ask Mia how to do a reading. Does she have a layout? Does she, what are her preferences? What's her background? Yeah, Jerry, go for it.
Hi, I was just wondering when you would choose to work with the color deck or the black and white deck. Is it purely what you're drawn to, or are there some other reasons behind why you would work with one over the other?
Great question.
That is such a good question. Yes, really, really good question. I find the black and white slightly more complicated and multi-layered, slightly more of the unconscious influences. So if you, I think the color deck speaks very loud and clear. It's quite, it's quite, if you want some clear answers, it gives you clear answers. Whereas the black and white one is slightly more contemplative. It might not open up as fast, maybe, even though the rune symbols are the same. But it's almost like I have still some work to do with the black and white deck myself. So, yeah.
What a
Thank you,
wonderful,
that
what a
helps.
wonderful way of saying it. And I'm going to add this, having seen the images online. And before we're done here, by the way, Mia, I'd love for you to discuss the back design, because those really spoke to me. But with my deck of shadows, for example, it's all black and white. And I get the same feeling that Mia does, Jerry. And I've always called the black and white version a coloring book for the soul, because what happens is you have the black and white, and we as meaning making people will look at it, and you see colors that aren't artificially imposed on it. And so I find, even looking at the images online that Mia has posted, I look at these and it's so deep because your mind just adds to it. So I just love the way you explain that, Mia. Very contemplative. Yeah.
Somebody messaged me saying that, oh, I'll just order the color one now because I'm not yet ready for the black and white.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Shad, talk to us.
Yeah, I was wondering about the extra cards, the Freya and Tyr and Heimdall and the Norns. Do you use those as like a significator card, or how do you use them?
Yes, they absolutely can be. I really want to leave this for people to make their own, how you might want to use them. They could be indeed significators. You could have the Freya, Heimdall, and Tyr and blindly choose one of them who is the guardian of this reading, or do the sort of past, present, future type of time-based readings with the black and white deck with the Urd and Verdandi and Skuld. And then there will be the concept cards. And what I have also just messaged to my backers, Kickstarter backers, that there will be one unannounced bonus card, which is the Odin card. Odin as the seeker of wisdom and knowledge, who dangled himself from the Yggdrasil tree for 9 days to have the runes revealed to him. It just felt right to have him part of the deck as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shad, for the question. Before we take any more questions, I've got to bring us now back to the back designs. And I will tell you why this speaks so much to me. I think many of you have heard me tell the story. I had a pet crow growing up. And it was I should say the pet crow had me as a pet, because you don't have crows as pets, they own you, much like cats, I think. And so I'm curious, the back designs, I'm not sure if they're intended to be crows or ravens or some other type of feather friend messenger. Talk to us about them.
They are indeed ravens. Odin had two ravens, Hugin and Munin, knowledge and memory, mind and memory. And so these are before the Odin became as the one final secret addition to the decks. These were the ones representing Odin, and him being the one who had the runes revealed originally to him. It just felt right to have them at the backs of the cards. And then they also have the Yggdrasil tree, the red one there and white one there.
Yeah, I will just tell you, I love the back designs of the cards. And then one last thing from me, I notice in your pictures that there are it's called a tuck box, folks, the packaging that comes with it. Are those intended, you can actually put all the cards in the tuck box and carry them, or do people put them in a pouch and create their own carrying device?
There aren't any more tuck boxes because the level of funding was reached on Kickstarter, meaning that it's going to be a rigid box now.
Okay.
I don't have samples of those. I can show you the same box. This is just a different deck, but it's a box like this. So lidded box where the both of them come, one box for each, and there
Wonderful.
will be the link as well. So, and I'm also going to be making some leather sleeves for the that people can have separately. But yeah, they are now rigid boxes, upgraded to foil and all bells and whistles because
Oh
of
my
the
goodness.
backing on Kickstarter was so great. So I'm putting it all back into the upgrading the quality of the product.
I am so happy for you that this has been successful the way it has been. You are, by the way, I'm just going to brag about Mia for a minute. She is one of the most creative people I know, and her artistic eye is spectacular. If you ever want to consult with her or work with her, Mia, how can people get a hold of you if they want to do that?
My website spiritcarrier.com is the main one, or I can be found on Facebook at Mia Illuzia. What else do I have? I'm on Instagram as Mia Illuzia as well.
Again, just an amazingly creative individual, very inspiring. Any more questions for Mia? You got her. Take her now or lose her forever. Oh, come on. One more question. Come on.
Message me later as well if you think of a question later.
They will. And you can always go to Proper Tarot and ask a question in there for everybody. Anybody have anything else as far as handling, how to use them? Yeah, Julie.
I'm just wondering, Mia, are you intending to read for other people a bit more now?
I don't know. I do sort of tentatively. If somebody here and there asks, then yeah, I possibly.
We'll work on it, Mia. I can help you with that. All right. Thank you for asking, Julie. And by the way, how are your reading skills coming? Are you more comfortable with everything now?
I've been reading all day today, as it happens, at an open day. Not for my own. The money will go to the people organising it, but I had lots of people come and was, working all day. It was great.
So, I know this is Mia's class, but I will brag about Julie as well. This is single-handedly the lady who I listen to her, and you can't help but go into a trance just listening to her storytelling voice. It is amazing, and that's why I'm pushing for you to even do these readings more and more, because it's just, you're astounding to listen to. So thank you. Yeah, Shad. You're welcome. Yeah, Shad.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the spreads that you use, is it just like 1, 2, 3, or, I mean, I understand with your casting cloth, you can have, the 9, or, I mean, is it, you just you pull it out, one out of your bag and put it there, or do you do like a sortilege thing where you just throw them and see where they end up?
Yeah, I don't cast a lot, but with this one, with the casting cloth, with the 9, you could use it with wooden runes to place them, pull them out of a bag and place them there. There are lots of people who use spreads that are where the cards are placed in the shape of runes. So you take a rune shape and put the cards in those shapes. If you want to look, for example, wealth or prosperity spread could be in the shape of the Fehu rune. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you could look at them that way. Or just simple 3 card spreads, for example, challenge, strength, potential, that type of thing.
Great question. All right, we've got time for one more question. Anybody? Going once, going twice. Okay, Mia, anything that you want to leave us with?
Not really. The cards are going to go into production as soon as the Kickstarter funds hit my account, and then they will be ready March next year. So
Now, I believe the
the
Kickstarter campaign ended the 8th, right?
2 days ago.
So what happens to people who are watching this that now want cards?
Got to wait until March and then go to spiritcarrier.com to have them.
Okay. Wonderful. So I want to thank you for being a guest professor today. Thank you for your creativity, your inspiration, for doing this, and for sharing with everybody. I do invite you, if you're not a member of Proper Tarot, it's free. Just go to it, and we're there to help each other and network and promote each other's work. And so you can see Mia there and ask her questions. You can certainly get a hold of her individually. And I'm sure, Mia, once people see this and they understand the level of inspiration you've built into both these decks, that I think you're going to get much more engagement than you anticipated. There's my prediction for you for 2023. I think it's going to be a massive success. So thank you for bringing your energy and your smile, and for braving the snow and the darkness tonight to be here.
It's snowing here. Oh, it's cold.
And thank you to the rest of you for being here. It will be a couple days for me to download this, process it, and get it up as a video, but it will be there for you to watch again as a replay through Proper Tarot. And with that, thank you all for being here. Be well.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.